Hi there, and welcome to another Ronan Nazarin Talks video. Today we're going to talk about Michael Mann. We're going to go through his films, and I'm Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films.
And I'm Nazarin Prod from Nazarin Prod. That's quite easy.
Yes. Well, I'll just kind of do an intro. Michael Mann was a filmmaker that's been in my top 10 for a lot of years. Granted, recently he's probably slipped into the top 20, partly because his output has greatly reduced because he is getting on a bit, and also it does tend to take a long time to make a film because he likes to go into his research, and sometimes that kind of precludes him from actually releasing films.
It goes a bit Kubrick, innit?
Yeah, I mean, if you ever listen to his commentaries, which I would highly recommend, his commentaries are just like so informative. He does go into detail about everything pretty much because he wants every detail to be as accurate as possible.
Yeah, I would say like his output in the 80s and 90s was a peak Michael Mann. I think the 2000s there've been some good stuff, but I don't think it's as high a level as he had in the 80s and 90s for me.
Yeah, unfortunately his last film was far from being his best film.
Yeah, but I still quite enjoyed it, so I would defend that last film.
Yeah, I mean, it really should have been released like 10 years earlier. It kind of missed the boat on what it was kind of talking about.
Yeah. But
you probably took 10 years to research it.
yeah, I was thinking that actually. It was like he's probably so thorough and he got in the way. Right, so we'll start. He started off making like short films in the 60s, Vietnam and era, and then he went into TV in the 70s and he started working as a TV writer for stuff like Starsky and Hutch and things.
Yes.
Before he got he directed Jericho Miles, a TV movie. That was his first film he got to make. It's a film I have not seen.
I have seen it. You can get it on Blu-ray in Kino Lorber, Region A, and it stars Peter Strauss and there's also Brian Dennehy in a really nice role.
Cool. What's it like though?
It's very good. It's about a prisoner who uses running to escape his past and to keep himself going in the routine of prison. As usual with Michael Mann, he does go for authenticity, so there's a lot of real life prisoners and people who have been on either side of the bars in the film. It is a nice little film. It's not a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but it gives you some kind of themes that would run through the rest of Mann's work. It's
Yes.
well worth checking out.
Yes. Yeah. Then we got his feature debut by turning up, I think, to James Caan giving a script for Thief. That's the story. But Thief is his directorial debut as a feature director, and there's two different cuts of Thief, and it's a terrific debut, really. It's really well made. It's very emotional, very locked down. It's the idea of criminals have their own code, but it's not a sentimental thing, it's something different. It's an institution of its own. It's different from a normal institution, but it takes away the romance of crime and shows it as a job rather than being just something you do like on the impulse. It's actually it's a profession. You're doing it for certain reasons, and you need this and that or next thing to actually be successful at it. You need to be a professional to actually succeed.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually quite a refreshing film because I don't think we'd seen that many films of that kind as far as its attitude to criminals.
Yeah, like the idea of it's a job. It's not anything emotional. It's a job. That's all it is. They're taking down scores, but they just want it for the money. Just the same way people go for a job to work for money. It's not anything romantic, really.
Yeah, it's one of James Caan's best roles because he actually is more of a human in it. Because some of his films, he's not really he doesn't really emote particularly. Not that he's particularly emotional in this, but he does actually come across as being a human, which he doesn't always do.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes he's allowed to go into mannerism rather than actual performance.
Yeah,
This film actually forces him to be able to give a performance.
and there's great support from Willie Nelson. I don't know whether this was Willie Nelson's first film role or not.
Yeah.
James Belushi not doing, well, there's some comedy in his performance, but not doing a comedy role.
Yeah.
And Robert Prosky
Yeah.
as the heavy, which we haven't really seen
I
very
know,
often.
he's so good in this film.
Yeah, he's genuinely chilling.
Yep. And Tuesday Weld as his wife, girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it's all the compromises you make within Life of Crime. So it's a refreshing, different film. You can get it in Arrow. The two discs in Arrow. It's really worth getting. There's some good extras, but it's also just a good transfer of the film. And it's a very stylized film, so it's quite nice to see it done properly. Because other versions of it were not the best quality.
No.
So,
Yeah, they were very. I think the first time I saw it on television, it was cut, and the print wasn't great.
Yeah, it's but even then you could tell there's something there.
Yeah.
Then,
But already it had, for his debut, it had kind of that Michael Mann style.
yes, like it was definitely influenced by De Palma's Scarface. And that kind of Michael, and also the Paul Schrader American Gigolo thing, he definitely had that influence of the kind of the idea of because Schrader and De Palma are both like people who are stylists who like emotions when the films, but it's not obvious. And I think Michael Mann took that, maybe added more realism to it, really. But he definitely was influenced by those two. When he made his film, he did his own thing as well, and it kind of developed as he went along and became his own style. I think by the time of Manhunter, he found his own take on it.
Yeah, and it also features an early wordless turn by Dennis Farina, who we'll get to later.
Yep. So next, he went to his big disaster, The Keep, which is a film I'm very fond of, despite its flaws.
Yes, I was going to say, I mean, I know he hates The Keep, and I think he's the reason why we're never going to see it on a proper high-definition copy.
We'll see it eventually.
I mean, it screams for like an Arrow special edition with making-of documentaries, hopefully some found footage or something. Because apparently there's about an hour missing, or it was supposed to be about an hour longer.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically his Alien 3, his film, monster movie, that kind of went wrong and it was cut to hell when they lost so much of it.
Yeah.
But unlike Fincher, he didn't get it put back in DVD later.
Yeah, that's still to come.
We hope.
Yeah.
So,
it does have an amazing cast.
I know, it's a wonderful cast, it's wonderful atmosphere, and the whole thing is just oddball as hell, but I adore The Keep, even though it's really flawed. It's a film only a mad genius could make. It's like no hack could do this movie. It had to be a mad genius who went on a bender somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I know he hates it, but it is part of his body of work. So
yeah, I know, and it is distinctly his.
Yeah,
so no one else would make this film.
There is a lot to like about it, despite its flaws.
Yeah, it also reminds me of Schrader's Cat People, which is another film that's weird and perverse and kind of plotless, but it's wonderful in its own weird way. Then he moved on to TV for a while because The Keep was such a disaster. He was forced back to TV because no one wanted to deal with him because of what happened to The Keep. So he went into and he was brought in to do Miami Vice.
Yes.
Which was a massive hit, and it was very Michael Mann. He colour schemed, he controlled the scripts, he turned what should have been a cop show into this sort of dark romantic mood piece. Because he did the first 3 seasons of that, and if you look at the seasons he produced, they're distinctively Michael Mannish. There's something to the tone of them. It's very sad. There's a kind of dark romance to all of them. It's just so him.
Yeah, the music, the brooding nature of it, despite the fact most of it's in Miami sunshine, but don't
Yeah.
believe that for a second. Yeah, the atmosphere.
Yeah. It's just it was a film that really took a lot of stuff from Scarface but pushed it to the cops rather than the criminal. The criminals were all very big and very dark.
Yes.
The criminals were scary, which is the big thing in this TV show. They'd actually scary criminals who did things that were dark and twisted.
Yeah.
You know. And people
'Cause
died.
again, yeah, you've always got that reality with Man, despite, people could say he's over stylized at times, but you've always got it is grounded in reality, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
Yeah, I remember I was a big fan of that when it first came out, and one of the things I remember was they killed one of the main characters off like a third of the way into the first season.
Yeah.
They caught their captain get brutally murdered really early on, and it was like, whoa, this is different. You don't expect that.
It's not Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah. So, because he had a massive hit with Miami Vice and suddenly it's hot again after the disaster of the Keep, he was allowed to do his own pet project. And his pet project was Crime Story, which
Yes.
is one of my favourite TV shows from the 80s. This is so good. Starring Darren Farina.
Yes, the ex-Chicago cop turned actor who would feature in quite a lot of his films, as we'll discuss.
Yep. And it's just wonderful. It's an epic crime story, hence the title. You've got early performances by people like David Caruso, and then the pilot, you've got Abel Ferreira directing a lot of it. You've got... It's just wonderful, and you've got two great central characters. You've the cop chasing, and you've also got the criminal with his group, which includes the fat actor who was a thief who advised on Thief, and he became one of the supporting parts. He was Stephen Lang as a journalist or a prosecutor who's very idealistic and who gets brutalised throughout.
Yes.
And it's all about how cops can't live with people, how brutal they can be, how the criminals can be very clever. And it's a wonderful existential feel to it. It's like
Yeah, it's a much more balanced view of both sides. It's not just black and white. There's lots of grey, which is what Michael Mann specialises in.
yeah. I mean, basically, this was a film that he became the movie version of Crime Story in a way. Really. But it was set in modern times, but that same feel to it of the cops and the criminals, and it's how they linked and how did they need each other.
And it's also a very good kind of history lesson of the beginnings of Vegas and the mob in Vegas and kind of the mob across the country. It's probably fairly accurate as well, knowing Michael Mann, who did his research.
Yeah, and one of the funny things to know is the criminal from Crime Story is based on the same guy that Joe Pesci played in Casino.
Yeah.
So in this one, it's a big tall guy, in the Casino it's Joe Pesci, but they're based on the same guy.
Yeah, and I would recommend watching Crime Story rather than Casino.
But Casino is good too.
Casino's good, but it's not Crime Story.
Yeah, I know. You've also got, for a few Hannibal Lecter fans, one of the supporting criminals played Buffalo Bill, Ted Levine.
Ted
He
Levine,
had a massive part in Crime Story, and he was great in Crime Story. And everyone was good in Crime Story. It was just such a good show.
It's superior television in pretty much every regard.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing, is Michael Mann in the second half of the 80s was just knocking it out of the park every time he did anything. He was just like, it was almost like the failure of The Keep just motivated him to be like very precise what he did.
Because maybe with The Keep, he was kind of, you had to rely on other people, whereas he kind of changed to being more of an auteur and pretty much almost doing everything himself.
Yeah. And then he moved on to do Manhunter, which was his first film that really got a lot of attention. The Thief got some attention. Manhunter didn't do well box office wise, but it got a massive amount of attention critically.
Yeah, and then when it went to video, that was when it really kind of got a reputation as this kind of forgotten dark classic. Obviously, the first appearance by Hannibal Lecter,
But it's not
even
Hannibal
though
Lecter film.
no, it's not a Hannibal Lecter film. He's only in it for 2 seasons. 2 seasons, 2 scenes.
Yeah. And two great scenes. And he is
Yes,
terrifying in the film. But it's a Will Graham film. It's about Will Graham and it's about the tooth theory. And that's what's really scary is Will Graham can think like the killer to a certain degree. He can think, you can find little links to his through his mental process to actually find out what the killer may be thinking. That's a terrifying idea.
yeah.
And
It's that. Sorry, it's that grey area again that Michael Mann explores between good and evil, cop and robber, serial killer and profiler. It's how they overstep that line.
yeah. But at the same time, it's not like he's saying they're the same. They're not. He makes sure you know they're
Yeah.
not the same. It's just that there are intricacies within their lives and how they function, where there are places where they echo each other. But it's not like they're the same people. The cops do have a moral foundation that the criminals tend to lack.
Yes.
So, but you also have a great performance by Tom Noonan as the Tooth Fairy, as this sad guy who has been destroyed by life, and he has massive mental issues, but he's sympathetic even despite all that.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. He's not just a cartoon villain. You know,
Yeah.
there's some things you actually, like you say, you sympathise with him and empathise for him, which in a traditional Hollywood sense, you know, you're not supposed to do. Generally, films about serial killers, a serial killer is just a monster and a cartoon character at times.
Yeah. And the thing is, they still keep him a threat, even though you get more sympathetic towards him. We still know he's
Yeah.
doing horrible things, and the Will Graham character's very empathetic because he's very damaged by his life, and he finds it hard to function normally. He's just
Yes.
he's just someone who was never going to fit in. Even at the end, after everything's been resolved, he still feels like an outsider. He still feels like he's not quite there. He's kind of a very ghostly figure in a way.
Yes, and again, the ending with 80s synth pop and bright sunshine is not as bright and happy as you would think.
No, but also there's a great sequence with in the Garden of Eden at the end, when
Yes.
when finally the confrontation. It's such a wonderful stylized feeling, but it's
Yeah, he
emotion.
uses time-lapse photography and
Yeah,
it's
it's very emotional though. It's not
awesome.
about killing someone. It's about what it means to get this guy, really, and what it means to the guy, what it means to the hunter. It's not just a simplistic kill the villain.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of Michael Mann's masterpieces. I mean, it's one of my favourite films of all time. There's again different cuts of it. The European video cut, I think, is the best cut, but there's a director's cut, there's a theatrical cut.
Michael
Again-
Mann's a fidget.
Yeah, again, Scream Factory has a good release, and Arrow's got a good release.
No, Studio Canal.
Studio Canal, sorry.
Yeah. So we'll go on from this just now. We'll probably come back to this one so you don't go the Silence of the Lambs rant.
Yes, we'll leave that for the time being.
Yep. Next, he did LA Takedown, which was basically the script of Heat, but he couldn't get off the ground and he wanted to go and do something different, so he thought he'd do a TV movie as a pilot to maybe do a show of it. And
Yes.
the pilot failed, and he ended up taking the script back and doing Heat with it later on. But LA Takedown is a kind of weird film that kind of works but kind of doesn't work at the same time. It's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah,
in
it's
between.
kind of hamstrung by poor acting, and obviously it's a truncated version. I mean, you have the aptly named Scott Plank,
Yeah, that's the
playing
acting that
the Al
goes wrong.
Pacino's, playing Al Pacino's character in Heat.
The guy who plays De Niro's character is a lot better, but it's just the
Yeah.
Scott Plank is the problem. But it's stylized in a different way from the Heat film, and it's kind of interesting to see how it changed with different actors and different style, and how certain things, we take certain things out other areas lose impact, but still a very enjoyable B movie. It's just
Yeah,
not
you can
quite.
tell there's something there, but it's not obviously fully realised as we would come to find out.
Yeah, but still an enjoyable bit of Michael Mann. It's sort of like his pulp B movie film, really. It's a film he made that is unabashedly a B movie, but it's still a very enjoyable film. So I'd happily rewatch it. It's one of those films that's it's kind of a film you watch sometimes if you've seen Heat too many times. You still want to kind of curious. Ellie Takedown's quite a nice variation.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to kind of see the blueprint for what Heat would become.
Yeah. But there's also certain things, certain moments in Heat that's so much better because they've actually got a visual sense to it, and
Yeah,
where sometimes they can have a sequence take place in like the dockyards. In Ellie Takedown, they take place in like a condo or something, and it's very different. It feels
yeah.
completely
It's much more insular and claustrophobic.
Yep. But we'll go on now to Last of the Mohicans, which is another great Michael Mann film, but very different from most of his other output.
Yeah, you would say it's a huge departure, but the kind of themes perhaps aren't. But it's a stunning film.
Yeah, it's so good. Especially in the cinema. It's one of those films that needs to be seen in the cinema. Especially with the impact for the last 30 minutes when all hell breaks loose and the build, because it builds and builds and builds, and by the end of it, it's really firing all cylinders.
Yeah.
Because it is a melodrama, but it's Michael Mann doing a melodrama, so it's a very intelligent melodrama.
Yeah, it's one of the Michael Mann films I actually saw twice in the cinema, because it was not really the design, but I saw it twice.
Yeah, but it's so beautiful, and it's just. I was pretty breathless after getting to the end. I'm pretty sure I saw it twice as well. I know I saw it.
Again, his trademark use of music and architecture. It just so happens it's not city architecture in this. It's forests and rivers and mountains. It's a great film.
Yeah, I remember Sight and Sound hammered it when it came out, or the reviewer hammered it, and it was like just someone being snobbish and missing it completely what was going on, what was intended. But I mean, there's so much good things, like the bit where they go to the fort that's under siege and have to go in through the water, and the lights are all over the place. You've got an amazing villain in Margwar who's totally motivated.
Like Bill Westwoody, who again would appear in Heat.
Yep. And he's totally motivated. He's got a motivation that's completely understandable, which makes him a terrifying villain because you understand where he's coming from.
Not cartoon character villains. All Michael Mann's villains are nuanced and believable, and you kind of agree with them at certain points during their stories.
Even though they've gone too far, but they're understandable and they're human, and they understand their struggle, even if they've gone way too far. We've also Daniel Day-Lewis as an actual romantic hero.
Yeah. And not giving as much of a mannered performance as he perhaps does in other films.
Oh yeah, I mean he's pared down to the essence.
Much more natural, I feel.
Yeah. It's like I always feel that they've kind of agreed that this is the way to do this film, and he feels Daniel Day-Lewis prepared the same ways that he always did, but he knew it was a different type of film, so he was okay with that. He was like, he still treated it seriously.
And again, I would highly recommend the commentary. You know, Michael Mann talks about the obviously racist book that it came from, and how he pretty much just tore the book up because he absolutely hated the book. And again, he goes into the period detail, you know, specific battles that happened, because again, he wanted to make it as accurate as possible for that events in which they're talking about.
Yeah, because he was influenced by one of the older films actually rather than the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also Madeleine Stowe is terrific as a female lead, because the female lead can be really bad in a lot of films, but here she's so good.
Yeah, because she's strong and she's believable. Whatever happened to Madeleine Stowe?
She didn't get the parts, really. She didn't get the directors who could really inspire her to do good stuff. That it was, I mean, this and 12 Monkeys, and the rest is kind of nowhere. But yeah, it's such a good film, and all the supporting parts, even the British officer who could have been, because he was kind of the villain early on.
Is that Stephen Warrington?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even he becomes a lot more human as you go on, and you start to see how he's kind of trapped within the British system. It's not really he's a bad guy, he's just trapped within a social system that's kind of warped him slightly.
And Scottish actor Maurice Reeves turns up as well.
Yep, as a boss.
Yes.
Who comes to a sticky end.
Yeah. It's just so well done, well crafted. It's just brilliant on every level, pretty much.
Yeah. Then we go into Heat, the non-Scott Plank version of the story.
Yes, thankfully Scott Plank was not
available.
Recast. Yes. He was busy in another project.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I saw Heat twice in the cinema. It just blew me away on that huge canvas. Yeah. Again, Michael Mann with not only using architecture, but the architecture of his shots. Obviously, Christopher Nolan's just ripped him off. His use, I mean, we've all seen films with LA in it, but Heat, it was just seeing LA completely differently, shooting in places that nobody had really shot before, and LA just looks completely different.
Because he shoots an industrial city. It's an industrial city that doesn't have to do with the movie industry. It's like it's a city with vans, with dockyards, with crime, with like basically a criminal enterprise that's going throughout the city. That's just the normal part of the function of the city.
Yeah, so there's underpasses that we've never seen before. There's murals we've never seen before. You know, that shot of De Niro and Amy Brenneman on the balcony and seeing the city pretty much like an ocean.
Yeah,
and it's just amazing.
And you have Val Kilmer's best performance.
Yeah, he actually makes Val Kilmer a proper actor.
Yeah, and you've also got one of De Niro's last proper performances.
Yeah, it's arguably De Niro's last great performance.
Yeah,
he just does things with like a look or a. He doesn't actually have that much dialogue, but he just expresses so much.
Yeah,
there's a beautiful scene with him and Val Kilmer about because De Niro lives with this ethos of, you know, there's nothing you have to have everything you can just walk away from if the police are coming.
Yeah,
and that's just a beautiful scene.
Yeah, because Val Kilmer's so human and so compromised though. He needs people. He doesn't function as a loner at all.
Yeah.
And you forget Pacino as an obsessive cop, where his obsessions are out of control really, and he's spiraling all over the place. And
because apparently he's pretty much on coke for the whole film.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like his performance was criticised a little bit by some people. I think there's a lot better people say because it's not just that he may be on coke, but it's also he's a guy who's addicted to the adrenaline. That's really adrenaline addict. He needs something always happening, and he's always fidgeting. He's needing something. He needs to be challenged, you know. And he doesn't really get it from most crimes he investigates. It's just that's the thing. He's an addict, but a different type of addict.
And again, there's probably two scenes it's kind of famous for. Is the shootout, which is fantastic, and really realistic, and the coffee shop scene between De Niro and Pacino,
which is wonderful.
Which some people said, "Oh, that's completely unrealistic, and that would never happen." But it was actually based on true events, because obviously Michael Mann knows cops, and there was a cop who was chasing this, well, I wouldn't say super criminal, but and they did do that. So
I mean that's the thing. Real life, it goes in different directions than what you think of a movie, but it's also needed for the film. We need that for the film. It's just part of the integrity of the film. We need this, and what does realism matter? Really, it's just about what's needed for the drama. And also that underrated moment at the end where one of Pacino's best moments has been he has actually shot De Niro, and De Niro's dying, and he just shows a bit of humanity to him rather than oh, I'm a cop. It's a nice little bit that I think it's never brought up as much, but it's a wonderful end to the film. I think without the film would have felt a bit cold. They needed that little bit of human touch at the end.
Yeah, and an example of how magnificent De Niro is in this film. There's the brilliant moment where he's going to get away with his girlfriend and they're going to go to New Zealand or wherever it is, and they're driving to get away, but you can see the wheels in his mind going because he's left a little bit of unfinished business, and you can just see it, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We've been critical of De Niro on the podcast before, but it's only because he used to be so good like that it's like...
Yeah, I mean, he's great in this.
Yeah, I mean, some of his stuff in the first 25 years of his career is so good that it's like, it's just a shocker how far...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because a lot of people... we've held him in such high regard and he set a high standard.
Yeah, and then it just...
and obviously he's just kind of, for one reason or another, just let it go. But
I know, it's just... this is so good.
So if you're only used to De Niro in the last 20 years, then, and for some reason you haven't seen Heat, you need to go and watch Heat and actually see him when he was great.
Yep. On to... another Michael Mann masterpiece, but it's not as well known, which is The Insider.
Yes.
It's so good. I saw this one in the cinema and it just knocked the socks off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a film that shouldn't work, but because it's Michael Mann and because he's a dynamic director, he can make a subject matter that perhaps on paper wouldn't seem that dynamic into just a stunning film.
Yeah. And it's all about paranoia. It's like paranoia everywhere. Like, you have two characters. One who's under pressure because he's going to tail on the tobacco industry. Another guy who is someone who's used to working under pressure and who's actually has to talk people down and actually get them to talk while they're under pressure. And it's two different looks at how people survive under pressure, really.
Yeah. I mean, if you kind of said, oh yeah, it's a film about a whistleblower in the tobacco industry, you know, make an absolutely breathtaking, just riveting film about that. If that was directed by Ron Howard, it would be a completely different film.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, smoking being bad for you is not a headline. Everyone knows smoking is bad.
Exactly.
Even when they made this film, everyone knew that. I mean, I remember I've seen interviews because Michael Mann and Russell Crowe both smoked at the time, and they were asking, how can you make this film and still smoking, because we're idiots, you know.
Yeah.
And it was all about the mechanism rather than that. It was about how people can be crushed by a corporation and how corporations can corrupt news. Yeah. Really. And how
by the way, it's 2.5 hours long, but it's absolutely riveting.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, you might go, "Oh God, that sounds really dry," and but it's absolutely amazing.
There's also the fact is, like, people always wonder, why do we not hear these stories that are really important? Why do we not get these coming through? And this just kind of shows you why, because everyone's so tied to advertising and the people who are paid for the adverts and how compromised news actually can be. And it's almost step by step of how news can be compromised and how you're not going to get the facts you need, really.
Yeah. And it's also, I think, worth pointing out, Michael Mann just makes actors better. Russell Crowe's not amongst my favourite actors. We'll get to a couple more actors that aren't my favourite actors that appear later in Michael Mann films. But he just gives a fantastic performance in this because he's not playing Russell Crowe.
Yeah, he's been motivated to do something outside his comfort zone. And it works so well. And Pacino's so good in this film, playing a guy who starts off confident and he starts getting slowly crushed by what he finds out about his own industry. And Christopher Plummer is so...
Yeah, Christopher Plummer's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, even though Russell Crowe's great, I think the scenes with Pacino and Christopher Plummer are really devastating.
Yeah, especially near the end of the film.
Yeah, and also the scenes where Pacino has to talk Crowe into testifying. They're electric, they're so good, because they're so human, they're not grandstanding, it's a much more human dynamic. It's like, he has to almost corner him, but not corner him in an obvious way. And he has to do it at a human level and appeal to Russell Crowe's basic decency and integrity.
And again, Michael Mann's use of music, his architecture of the shots, is just, again, always makes it interesting. He is literally one of those guys that somebody reading a phone book would seem interesting and riveting in these films.
Yeah. And the whole idea of corruption of corporations, like how corporations start in one way and become more and more corrupt by the need for profit, is done very subtly, but it's there. It's there throughout the whole film, but they're not stopping and saying, this is the problem. It's like, no, you see it by their actions, you don't see it by you stopping for a lecture.
Yeah, because like all the great filmmakers, Michael Mann uses a scalpel rather than a sledgehammer.
Yeah. It's just so good, a film. I've got to say, I think Insider was the end of its massive peak. I think that was the end of the peak period of Michael Mann. There's still some good stuff afterwards, but I think the peak period was really between, Thief and Insider, for me at least.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But there's still a lot of good stuff after that I would defend. But
yeah, for me, there's one almost masterpiece coming up.
I know. I think we're both agreeing what it is, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
He followed this up with Ali, which is a film which I like a lot. But
yeah, to be fair, I've only seen it, I think, twice, and I don't actually have it in Blu-ray. I really need to get it. So I think Nazarene could talk more on this.
Yes, thank you. Ali is a flawed film, though. I think it's one of those films that never... according to Michael Mann, he never quite got for his head, he never quite got his edit right. Like he's fidgeted with it a few times, and I think he's one of those ones where you can see the film almost there, but it doesn't quite land. But it's still a fascinating film. I think a lot of the problems come in the final third, as we're leading up to his comeback fight. I think certain things are a bit more muddled, and it could be just a bit more streamlined.
Yeah.
But the first half, you just seen the rise of Ali. You see this process. It's not about the loudmouth Ali, the guy who you see in interviews. It's about the internal process of how a guy who came from a very racist southern background, where he dealt with racism all the time. How he rose from that to become a boxer and to become a loudmouth who challenged that. And what it does to him, and how his beliefs actually affect the country round about him, because he becomes too popular. And when he becomes a Muslim, that creates a problem for the system. They can't really handle it, and they start to really mess with him. And it's almost like it's basically about a guy trying to define himself in the world, and also getting disillusioned by the people he thought was his friends, because it turns out the Muslim Brotherhood is a very corrupt system as well. I think it's a Muslim Brotherhood in this thing. They're all their suits and things. I could give him the wrong name for that, but and how he kind of finds himself beyond even who his allies originally were to be an individual.
very much like Raging Bull. It's not a boxing picture, and again, Will Smith is not going to be on my list of favourite actors, but he's very good in this.
Yeah. He's really pushed. A lot of the supporting actors, like Jamie Foxx, is terrific. Who's an actor who can come and go depending on the director.
Yeah.
You've got John Voight popping up again as Howard Cosell, and he's really good in a strange wig.
Yes.
All
a strange accent.
Yeah. All the actors are really good. They're all terrific. The boxing feels legit. The first and final boxing fight are the two kind of showcases where you see Michael Mann's process of how to shoot a boxing match, which is what the tactics of the boxing match, why they're doing stuff rather than trying to make it pretty. It's like, why is an uppercut here? Why is it doing this there? And it's just wonderful. It's a really wonderful set of boxing matches. It's just a flawed film, though. It's a film that is a bit too long. And I don't think they really get the script, the final third, quite right. I think they I think the first two thirds are a lot better than the final third. I think the final third drags it down a little bit because...
Yeah, and let's be honest, biopics are always difficult.
Yeah. I think basically, the problem was they had to include Ali coming back after all the hassle, but I'm not sure that was the thing that interested Michael Mann. I think his struggles against the American government interested him. The struggles with Malcolm X interested him a lot more than his comeback fight. And the comeback fight was important if you're doing an Ali film. I'm not sure if it was important to Michael Mann, and I think that's caused a bit of a problem with the film, because that's the least engaged, because it's an inspirational bit and it's not really a Michael Mann type of thing there.
Yeah.
But still a terrific film, still very underrated. You know, I think it gets ignored nowadays, and I think that's a shame, because there's a lot there that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to go on to my least favourite Michael Mann film, which is Collateral.
Okay.
This is the one of his films. I'd rather watch The Keep than watch Collateral.
I mean, I enjoy Collateral, but there is a problem with the casting. Tom Cruise is not the guy with his grey hair. It should have been, I don't know, but I think an older character would have probably worked a little better. It's more kind of formulaic. There's great support by Mark Ruffalo, who's really good in it. Again, it looks great, sounds great, but it's perhaps a little empty and doesn't really have that much to say. It is pretty much a fairly formulaic film.
It's genre film. Actually, I like Cruise in this one. I don't like Jamie Foxx in this one, though. I think he's trying to get more sympathy than he should have been going for.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was cast differently, it might be more interesting, but it's not one of his more interesting films.
No. But I do like Cruise in this one, actually. I'm different from you. I do like Cruise in this one. It's just, I think the more it goes on, the more formulaic it gets. And I think if they'd stuck to the two guys in the car and they'd limited what they were going to do with them, I think we'd have had a much better film. I think just the last third just comes chasing.
Yeah, you do get the sense he's kind of repeating himself, and it's perhaps, it's not as interesting on a metaphysical level as these other films.
Yeah, I think he needed a hit to continue, and I think he made a Tom Cruise film and did it the way he would do it, but it wasn't really...
But again, it's well made.
Yeah.
Looks great, sounds great. Yeah, but...
Yeah.
But Mark Ruffalo's the standout in it for me.
Yes, Mark Ruffalo's really good.
And I'm upset when he...
yeah, but
something happens to him.
Yeah, it's quite a nice twist, though, because you expect something to go in a different direction. But, I just think
it's kind of superior Hollywood mainstream stuff.
That's what it really is. But I think Michael Mann... But even with Michael Mann did Hollywood with last time, he kind of did a lot more with it, I think.
Yeah.
So, even for Michael Mann's kind of Hollywood stuff, it was a bit of a come down.
For other people's standards, it would be very good, but just for Michael Mann standards, it's good.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But well, next we'll go to my favourite of his 2000 film, Miami Vice. Which is...
Yes, it's my favourite too, which was absolutely slated when it came out.
I know, it was... No one got it. No, just everyone was wanting a remake of Miami Vice.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it wasn't.
No, because I think people retrospectively think Miami Vice is bright and cheery and cheesy, which it's not actually, but they kind of have that perspective of it, and they were expecting that when Miami Vice came out.
And it wasn't that, but also they changed the visual style to make every shot of a video to give it a kind of very ragged feel. So that even though it looked beautiful, but it's still different.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit, the first time I saw it, I thought it was good, but then the second time I saw it and subsequent watches, it just gets better and better and better.
Yeah, I think it's really terrific, and I was the same. I also thought it was really good, but the more I watched, the more defined it is.
Yeah, as time's passed, it's almost a masterpiece, I think.
Yeah, and it's again, I think this was the film that kind of put Colin Farrell on the map as an actual actor to go on to do stuff like in Bruges and things. Of if he gets the right director, he can do some really good stuff. You know,
again, like I mentioned before, you know, Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx aren't my favourite actors in the world, but they're really good in this.
I know, and Colin Farrell's in quite a lot of films you like too as well.
Yeah, The Lobster. Obviously, I love The Lobster. I think it's one of the best films of the last 20 years. And he's in Bruges.
yeah, he does some good films sometimes. But this is like his first film where he was with a director who could really push him to be
Yeah.
something beyond what they're expecting.
Yeah, because if you're in a Michael Mann film, you can't just phone it in.
No, and I think his performance is one of the reasons why the film works so well, because he is so damaged and
Yeah.
just messed up. He just says so this is someone who's messed about a lot. He's just not quite there anymore. He's been damaged by being a cop and a criminal against criminals. There is a kind of element of this film where it's about the damage that's done to cops in this world over time. It's like you can't really survive doing this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been about the collateral damage, pardon the pun,
Yeah.
of the characters and their lives and their families.
Yeah, some of the action is great as well. I mean, the finale is actually very underplayed, but it's so brutal that because you actually feel for the character, you can see the motivations of everybody, and the drug lord at the centre of it is terrifying because he's so quiet and simple.
Yes.
But you know, when he wants something done, it's going to get done, and it's going to be really brutal when it's.
Because again, in the hands of somebody else, that character would be scenery chewing and, completely over the top and caricatured.
Yeah,
But again, it's that brooding menace that a lot of Michael Mann villains have.
yeah, he's such a great monstrous villain. That's another film within different cuts. There's a theatrical cut and there's an extended cut. I like both of them for different reasons.
Yeah, one of them's got a slightly different opening.
Yep, and it's just there's more detail in the director's cut, but the theatrical cut's also very good. It just depends what you feel like.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Apocalypse Now thing where all the cuts are good. It just depends what version you want to watch. That's it.
And again, Michael Mann with Cityscapes, it's like you've just never seen cities the way Michael Mann shoots them.
Yeah.
He's just amazing with his use, again, architecture and the architecture of the shot.
Yeah. And John Hawkes in the beginning of it is so good.
Yeah.
He's so his story in the beginning is really something. And the whole. And there's also.
Were you going to talk about the scene in the trailer park?
No, I was going to talk about the introduction scene in the nightclub. It's such a good scene. Yeah. It's so well done for a nightclub scene because most nightclub scenes are terrible. And this one's just so good. It feels like a nightclub, the way a nightclub is when you're in a nightclub.
Yeah.
Which I don't go to very often because I hate them, but this is what it's like.
Oh, you catch diseases there.
Yep. So what were you going to say?
No, just the scene in the trailer park is
just
amazing
tense.
As well.
Yes.
It's just...
Yeah. And it's quite a point I like about it is you go through all of this to find a mole in a certain department, and it's pretty much not the point of the film. It's just the motivator, but it ultimately becomes something that's not important.
Yeah. Public Enemies, or Michael Mann's version of Dillinger, starring Johnny Depp. Obviously, again, it was shot on digital, which there was a bit of kind of blowback when it came out because it looked strange. But again, in some way, it pushed into the action a bit more. I do have a soft spot for Public Enemies, even though it doesn't seem to be that popular.
I know Michael Mann in the 2000s it isn't very popular, apart from Collateral, which is the one I like least. But yeah, I mean, I like Public Enemies. I think it's too long though. I think it needed to lose 20 minutes, especially the second half. I think the second half's where it kind of meanders a bit.
But you get good Johnny Depp, which doesn't happen all the time.
I know he's been prodded. Apparently, him and Michael Mann did not get on very well, but apparently, because Michael Mann is prods you. I liked Marion Cotillard as well as the leading lady. She was good. I especially like Christian Bale though as the guy chasing, because he seems very depressed, very focused, but he's a guy you feel is very insular and very much a Michael Mann kind of performance, but a very darker version of it.
Yeah, because again, it's Christian Bale a little bit less mannered than sometimes he is.
Yeah, but I think he's really good in this one. I think it's I think working with Michael Mann helps a lot of actors to pare it down, because I've actually noticed since this film Christian Bale does feel less mannered they did before
Yeah.
anyway. Like it was this, like I can make man try to make other films together. So obviously it was a good experience for him. So, yeah, I guess he's kind of like the linchpin of the movie in some way because I think the depression of that character just floats through the film.
Yeah, and there's Billy Crudup as Hoover.
Yep, I liked him.
Yeah.
He's always a good actor even in bad films. Like
He's always worth watching.
yeah. And I like Stephen Graham as the crazy one,
Yes.
the crazy gangster. He's a lot of fun. It's like he's one actor who's allowed to ham it up in a Michael Mann film, but even then he doesn't ham it up. He just does it just quite.
Yeah.
He does it really just right. Like
He's not Babyface Nelson. He's somebody else.
But he's
The famous one.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
but he's so good though. He's just so crazy, and it might be Babyface Nelson. Could be.
Is it Babyface Nelson?
I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a film that doesn't seem to get a lot of respect, but like you say, it's better than Collateral.
Yeah, it's also I like Stephen Lang as the kind of crusty hunter, the Texas Ranger.
Yeah, Stephen Lang's awesome.
Yeah, he just pops in and he's just like, I'm taking over this film. Johnny Depp, get out of here, it's my film now. Piss off.
Yeah.
And he
So like
takes
you say,
over. When as soon as he's in it, he takes over it.
Because like you say, it's not perfect, but it's really, really good.
Yeah. And it does have a sense of Dillinger being a guy who knows his time's up. Even as the film's opening up, he knows that he's fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
Like his way of doing things is not going to work.
And like I say, I think the way it was shot gives it kind of immediacy and kind of gives you a way in, whereas sometimes period films, the way it's shot, it distances you from the actual events that are going on.
Yeah.
But I think the way it was shot actually brings you in a bit.
The funny thing is, the other film I think from that era gives you that feeling is Dillinger, the John Milius one.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. It's a much more cheerful version of the story. And to be honest, I still like Warren Oates as Dillinger more than I like Johnny Depp as Dillinger.
No doubt. Doubt.
It's just like you can't be Warren Oates as Dillinger.
I just absolutely love that film again. I was only exposed to it like a year or so ago, but it's fantastic.
It's so good. But Johnny Depp can't compete with that, but that's another film. Bonnie and Clyde as well, with that feeling of the past, but it also feels like the present. So yeah, this is a worthwhile film. I just think it needed.
There's a wonderful fatalistic feeling to it.
Yeah,
It's kind of the end of an era.
yeah, and it really brings that up, and it's because Johnny Depp has that feeling to him, like he knows it's not going to end well for him, but he doesn't have any choice in the matter. So he might as well just do it, but he's also, you see him making a lot of mistakes that he's not the brightest person, and they actually don't even try and hide that. It's like he makes horrible mistakes with this film. He brings a lot on himself. I think that's an element that could have been brought up more though.
Yeah.
I think it was there, but I think if they brought that in more, it might have been a better film for the end section where if you'd have sensed more that he'd really brought it on himself, it might have been a sadder ending, but yeah, it's one of those ones I think it just needed a bit more script work before they went into it. I think would have helped a bit more.
But certainly, if you haven't seen it, you can pick up on Blu-ray for next to nothing.
Yeah. And it is a beautiful film. It's a beautiful, well-made film. Michael Mann does not make bad-looking films. He always has everything perfect.
Yeah.
So we've now got. I think during this period, he also made a TV show, Tom Sizemore, that I only ever saw one episode of it. It was.
And he did the one with Dustin Hoffman as well, the gambling one.
Yeah, I've seen.
What it's called.
Yeah, Luck.
With
David Milch. I've only seen one episode. His episode, it was really good, but I haven't seen any more of them yet. I've got them in Blu-ray, but I haven't watched it yet. But it's kind of Michael Mannish, but not, because David Milch has wrote it, and it's kind of his thing, really, ultimately. Did you see that? Or?
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. It can be found as well in Blu-ray. You just have to look for it. Then he came back to the theatres to do Black Hat, which was a massive bomb when it came out. It just did not do well. As you said earlier, it was maybe too late in the day, really, for that story.
Yeah, I think he taken too long to do his research, so when it came out, it wasn't really news
Yeah.
or in the zeitgeist at the time. It was kind of past.
Yeah. I still really enjoy this film, even though I think you could have done a different lead actor.
Yes, this is the one that he can't get more out of the lead. Hemsworth, it could have done with a better lead.
Yeah.
Colin Farrell, perhaps.
Yeah. But it needed someone who was, it just was, the casting was just a bit off. I still quite liked him in the film, but I don't think it quite worked. I liked the lead a lot more than I liked him.
Yeah.
And
I mean, again,
the actors around him are good.
Again, it's a good film. It looks great. It sounds great. But it's not as interesting as the other films.
It also feels a bit more like Michael Mann's greatest hits. Because you have some terrific sequences. There's a hunt sequence in near the middle where they're going through trying to hunt the criminal down.
Yeah, which is beautiful.
Yeah, and there's some nice moments where they're talking about how they set off this nuclear meltdown using computers. That's nicely done, but it could have done better special effects, to be honest.
Yeah.
I like the idea the villain is just this guy who's in the middle of nowhere, who's just changing stuff around. It's not anybody you'd ever know.
Yeah.
I quite like that. But yeah, it's just like I think they just get the wrong person in the lead for this film, and it actually feels like it should have either been shorter or longer. Either should have pared it down more, or it should have been more expansive. In the middle, it does feel like somewhere it's kind of been slightly compromised. It's like it's either not as cheap and cheerful as it should be, or it's not as epic as it should be. It's needed something.
Yeah.
It feels like a studio film.
It's because of his high standards. I was really disappointed with it when I saw it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when I saw it, I already knew about the reviews of it, so I was I could watch it later on and enjoy it because I expected a lot less from it.
Yeah.
But then I turned out it was a nice surprise because there's a lot of nice stuff in it, but it wasn't quite what it needed to be.
Yeah, there's good stuff in it, and obviously if you're a Michael Mann film fan, if you haven't watched it, then I would recommend watching it. But
I think it needed a younger actor in the lead. I think it needed someone who's a bit more experienced, who could be more flawed. I think it would have worked better. Someone who's might have run over their head, but knew a lot about the computers and might have made story work better. Cause,
I don't know, either that or perhaps Christopher Walken.
Yeah, an older person. But yeah, of course you'll go Christopher Walken.
Yes,
but it needed something different. It just there's an element that wasn't quite working.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah, he'd have been good in the lead actually. Yeah. He'd have been actually really good. He'd be the right kind of intensity.
Yeah.
But Michael Mann was one of the directors who get messed around with coronavirus. He was actually shooting something, a TV show at the time, and he got half an episode in when it collapsed.
Yeah.
In Tokyo. So
I mean, I would like to think that he would come back with another film, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah, he's getting on a bit in age now, but
yeah, he's closing in on 80, I think.
Yeah, but he obviously still shooting stuff. So so I think most of his career's now kind of done. Really, nice to get another film or two out of him, but who knows if that's going to happen. I mean, Clint Eastwood keeps on making films well into his late 80s, so it's not out of the blue. It might happen still, but
for the time that it usually takes to prep one and then shoot it.
But this, I mean, the thing is 80s and 90s worked so good.
Yeah.
And you've still got Miami Vice later, and you've still got Public Enemies, which is a nice little film, and Ali. It's still a really terrific career. So, so why don't you just talk generally? Michael Mann now went through all the films, really.
Well, I mean, I think, yes, you mentioned he was perhaps influenced by De Palma and Schrader, but I think his influence, really, for the way films look, and specifically the way Christopher Nolan's films look, but in general, I think he has had a huge influence on American cinema, just the look of films.
But I think also the stylization of making it more realistic has become the big thing, and maybe to a defect. I think a lot of films that have, if you look at the Marvel films, they are much more realistic than comic films were in the 80s or 90s, and that comes because Nolan's influenced by Michael Mann, and
Yeah.
they were influenced by him, and it kind of became a second-hand thing, but it still was much more grounded for a long time.
I mean, especially the Dark Knight. I mean, the look of the Dark Knight
It's so...
and the way the city is shot. I mean, that's just straight from Michael Mann.
Yeah. So he's an influence in the mainstream films, but it's also a thing that he's influenced by people who aren't as good as him.
Yes.
So it becomes a case of, yeah, you're influenced by Michael Mann, but you're not as good, so it's not interesting. I don't really need to see your version of Michael Mann film because you're not as good as Michael Mann. That's the kind of problem. I find a lot of the Michael Mann people who are influenced by him aren't very interesting, and they don't have the themes that he has.
No.
So it becomes a case of a stylization that I don't care about.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, is a problem, because I think it's... I think it's a problem with any artist, really, any really good director, with it's not... The themes are tied up in their style that you can't really separate them, really. And when you just try and take the surface elements, it becomes boring. That's when I said earlier on that I think Mann was influenced a bit by Schrader and De Palma for the visual styles, but also by Bertolucci or somebody. But it wasn't like... I think he was also getting styles from other people that we don't know as well that were less of an influence, so it was all a mix of various people, so no one was a dominant influence on him. It was just like little bits here, little bits there, and he brought it all together for his own style. I only really mentioned De Palma and Schrader because they both like melodrama and music and stuff the same way that Michael Mann does, really.
Yes.
There's an element of the films that are not realistic, and it's unusual for American directors to have that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are pretty boring and stick to the very basic level of filmmaking. But I don't think happens in other cultures.
Yeah, but Michael Mann's also superior to a lot of American directors because of his ability to create atmosphere and mood.
Yeah, because he adds into that. A lot of directors aren't.
Yeah.
And
obviously with Manhunter, just the sense of dread that just pervades that film.
Yeah,
as we've talked about before.
Yeah, especially that bit when Will Graham comes through the house at the beginning. It's terrifying, even though you don't see anything.
Yeah,
you're just seeing what's been, and you're just seeing him.
Because that's the other thing about Manhunter. You think it's a much more violent film than it actually is.
Yeah, because you don't see anything.
Because you see the results of the violence, you don't actually see the violence.
And you also
it's one of those films that you think, oh yeah, that was a really violent film, but it's not.
You also see people affected by the violence.
Yeah.
People are affected by it. It's not like they brush it off like, oh, what's a shame. No, they're affected by what happened. Like, the cops want to get the villain cause he's killing people. It's not because they're trying to... it's not a cynical thing. It's just that's their job. They're going to get him. And they're actually passionate about their job. They want to do their job well and get this guy off the streets. It's not... So it gives it an emotional current that you don't get in a lot of cop films, because a lot of times they're just trying to find some absurd villain and it doesn't feel real at all. It just feels like, why am I watching this?
Yes.
But also some of the crime story, story after story of it slowly building to this obsession. It wasn't just an obsession to start with, it was just like, I'm going to get this criminal, and then slowly over time, as he did really bad things, it became much more obsession. It became... The idea of obsession was a slowly evolving thing. It was complicated.
Yeah, it has all the jigsaw pieces come together and it builds.
Yeah. And I think that's Michael Mann does a lot. He builds slowly. So if you look at Heat, you don't get everything thrown out at the beginning of the film. It's like he slowly builds up the connections between people, and it becomes more beautiful because of all the different connections, how they interact.
Yeah, because when you look at Heat, the number of action scenes, it's like 15 minutes out of the film, really.
I know.
Whereas it's viewed by the broad kind of viewership as an action film, but there's actually not that much action in it, considering the length of the film.
It's more atmosphere. It's more like someone
it's a
walking.
Character piece, really.
Yeah, someone walking down a corridor is more important than one of the big action scenes of them sitting in a truck watching them scope a place out and maybe go into it, and then they go into it and then they get caught, and that's a big action scene ultimately for the film.
Yeah,
and no one shoots any gun.
Yeah,
I mean the biggest bit of action actually is when Natalie Portman commits suicide and they have to take her to the hospital. That's more actiony than anything else in the film. That's the most affecting bit of it. And there's no guns involved there.
No.
You know, that's much more important, much more affecting than anything you see with the guns. Really.
And of course, Heat does have one of the best openings of all time.
Oh, yes.
The music, the way De Niro just walks. The way De Niro walks in the beginning is just like fantastic.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, the whole thing. And the thing with Ashley Judd waiting for Val Kilmer to come back.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence is just a wonderful, tense sequence. It's very casual at the same time, and it's a lot of character stuff that you would never get. You'd always be cut out of most films because it's not the plot, but it's actually that's the character stuff is the story.
Yeah, like you say, the scene in the truck when they're doing one of the heists and the cop makes a noise.
I know.
And it's just like, it's just brilliant.
Yeah. It's a thing that no one else would do because why is that important? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, no one ever does that, and then when they do it, when they do something like they take the sound out or they do something like that, it's like if something becomes major because no one's done that for years.
Yeah.
You know, it's like and it's a mainstay of cinema if you actually just have the patience to actually hear about cinema. Really.
Yeah. So where, in summing them up, where do you, I don't know whether you rank people or anything, but how would you consider Michael Mann from a overview standpoint?
Well, my rankings tend to be silly because I don't take it seriously, ultimately, because I think there's like 50 directors I really love, and who cares? There's like 5 or 6 I really adore that are kind of the top. But even there, it's like, yeah, but the next 50 I'd still watch quite happily. It's not like it's a exclusive club. Michael Mann, the 80s and 90s stuff is very high because I mean, there's also an emotional attachment because he was one of those first directors who were bringing out films when I was young that were affecting me and I was actually becoming passionate about. You were passionate about the next Michael Mann film coming out. Like I remember when Manhunter came out, I'm not sure I'd read the book or was trying to read the book or something, but the book and the film came together really quickly for me, and I became a big fan of both Michael Mann and Thomas Harris, the author of the book, pretty much together. And then I read Silence of the Lambs, so I'd read the book well before the film came out. So that was the first one where I knew Michael Mann was, and then I realised he was doing Miami Vice at the same time. And then I heard about Crime Story. So he was one of those directors who I had an emotional attachment to that's a kind of, from my teenage years, he was one of those directors I was always passionate about. He was working at the time, he was building his career up at the time. And I just liked him better than I liked something like Scorsese or somebody. I was just into Michael Mann films. The same way
I saw Manhunter first on video and then Movie Drome on BBC Two that we've talked about plenty of times.
Yeah.
They had it and Alex Cox introduced it, and I think I've always loved him because of Manhunter, and Manhunter is one of my favourite films of all time.
Yes. I think Manhunter did it for a lot of people. I think Manhunter was that film that influenced, even though it didn't do well in release, it influenced so much.
Yeah, I mean it's just so different from your bog standard thriller.
Yeah, and there's just something about it. There's the ideas are scary in it as well. It's not about the police chase. The police chase is just the genre which it belongs in, but it's not really about that.
Yeah.
And then when he jumped up and did Last of the Mohicans after that was a totally different feel to it. And that just knocked me out as well. It was just so good.
Yeah, because you go, oh, this isn't Manhunter. What's he doing this for? And then you watch it and you go, oh my god.
Yeah, and then Heat came out after that, and it was like this
Yeah.
triple whammy of great films. And then Insider came out after that, which was
Yeah.
at that point I'd been studying film and things like that, so I could watch it more analytically, but still just emotional about Michael Mann's making a new film. I really need to see this. I had to go up to Glasgow to see Insider. Didn't mind, as long as I could see the film. Fine.
Because the thing is, there was nothing like Manhunter. There was nothing that looked like Last of the Mohicans. There was nothing like Heat at the time.
Yep.
Just that broad scope. Not like it's almost like a novel, but it takes time with characters
Yeah.
for quote unquote an action film.
Yeah. Because I remember when Heat came out, it did well, but it didn't blow the world away. Though it was well thought of, but it didn't get Oscar nominations or anything. It was like it came out just at the same time as Casino, and Casino was the one before they came out was the hyped up one, and then Heat came out, and Heat kind of took the attention away from Casino. But I remember Seven was a big thing at the same time as well, and
Yeah,
I don't
95.
I don't think Seven's aged half as well as Heat has.
No.
Really, it just isn't the same.
Yeah, I mean, I
depth.
like Seven a lot, but it's not Heat.
Yeah.
It's certainly not Manhunter.
No. And there was just that thing. Michael Mann was kind of peaking then. It was just like everyone sort of knew he was peaking. Like this was a big selection of films, and suddenly he had arrived.
And then you go, The Insider about the cigarette industry. What? And then you watch it, and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah. So he's a major director for me. But the thing is, there's so many major directors. I think a lot of film people who are interested in films, they stick to like 4 or 5 directors. These are my favourite directors. And to me, your 50 favourite directors are your favourite directors, not just 5 or 10. That's not interesting. I'm much more interested in seeing a range of why certain directors influenced you, why they really mean something to you. So I don't really care about a top 10 list or top 20 list. I remember I did my list of directors who've a big influence on me, and I think I did 3 hour-long videos because there were so many of them. I had no self-control because there was just so many. And even then I forgot some.
Yeah.
And even now, if I did it again, there'd be new directors I've just found that are just as important to anything.
Of course, that's the beauty of cinema. You're always finding new things.
Yeah, because the moment I'm on to Sion Sono, and he's a major discovery for me. And there's always someone new, but I think Michael Mann's going to be remembered really well. I think he's such a...
his body of work is...
It reminds me a lot of Cronenberg. Cronenberg's one of those directors who have a big influence on everybody, and they're always doing good work, but they were never the hippest people compared to hipper directors like Coppola or Scorsese. But they were actually maybe stronger because they were, and they had the kind of advantage of not being the hip director compared to some other directors, so they could just get on with the work and just keep on making good films. And I think Mann and Cronenberg are those kind of directors of me who are probably more important than the more publicly accepted directors that mean more to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'd much rather watch Cosmopolis than the late Scorsese. I'd much rather watch Spider than any of those Scorsese films he's been making.
Yeah, when's that getting a Blu-ray release?
Spider? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, Arrow has just bought the rights to a lot of the Jeremy Thomas produced films, which includes
some of Naked Lunch
and Crash and things. So I'm hoping that might inspire them to do Spider. I'm not sure if Thompson had anything to do with Spider or not, but there's I'm looking forward to all those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Michael Mann's kind of amazing career. It's very important. Probably a lot more important than people realise.
Yeah, also in the way crime shows on television as well, not just cinema.
Yeah, they're all doing Michael Mann stuff now. They went from being kind of Agatha Christie-like to being like procedures.
Yeah.
Really. And all that came from Manhunter and Red Dragon, really. The idea of the profiler and stuff like that. That's suddenly became the thing.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if David Simon, who did The Wire and Homicide, was influenced by Michael Mann as well.
Yeah, his approach to character is much more factual and subtle, more like Michael Mann than it is to a traditional police show.
Yeah.
Really. So yeah, he probably would have. There's no way he didn't see Heat before he did Wire.
Yeah.
Because it's structured so similar. I mean, the crops, the crooks, and how they interact. That's Heat in basically the same way as a Wire, really.
Plus, again, Simon was one of those guys, very much like Michael Mann, that went on the beat with cops, hung around cops.
Yeah.
Some of the other writers were ex-cops.
Yeah. So he's that kind of person, really. Yeah, because I mean, David Simon became an influence as well in a way that probably hasn't really been. Another thing is because they were such a big influential show, we still haven't really worked out how it's influential yet. I think it's still seeping through the culture. Like the people influenced by The Wire are probably now just starting to make their shows. Really. Yeah. So we'll find out what that influence was down the line, really.
There'll obviously be a lot of shows influenced by it that were nowhere near as deep.
I know. There's going to be a lot of embarrassment. I mean, there's so many serial killer shows that are influenced by Manhunter that are terrible. They're just like and an insult to what they're actually doing. So maybe look at something like Mindhunter, that David Fincher thing they're doing in Netflix. It's fine, but it's not in the same league as Manhunter.
No,
it just doesn't have the depth.
It started off very well, and then it's kind of the second season just got a bit silly.
Yeah, it's just a melodrama, really.
Yeah. No, Manhunter, which is 30, coming up for 35 years old, is still stunning.
35 years?
1986.
Yes. 34 years.
34. Coming up for 35. If we make it to 2021.
Yeah. It's that thing was I had to work it out, but I know that's wrong, but my brain isn't let me calculate it, but I just instinctively know that doesn't make sense.
Plus, Manhunter has the most threatening supermarket scene in cinema history.
Yeah. Well, until 2020 shopping.
Yeah.
Now it's more threatening. Just real life's now more threatening than that, but yeah. So, I think the whole thing with this is go watch Michael Mann films. There's so many good ones. There's so much great stuff there that even his weaker films has a lot going on.
Yeah, even the ones that perhaps don't sound very interesting, like Cigarette Whistleblowers, go watch because they're excellent.
Yep. There's a lot of underrated films from the last 2 decades that are really worth seeing as well.
Yeah, forget what you've heard about Miami Vice and Public Enemies.
They're both very good. They're both underrated. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back soon with another podcast. We've got some plans. Okay, right, bye for now.